What if the most extraordinary thing about a destination wasn't what you saw, but what it awakened in you? What if a hotel could reach inside your spirit and show you not who you are, but who you've always wanted to be? Welcome to the Burj Al Arab. It rises from the Arabian Gulf like a sail caught in the wind, but what it truly catches is your breath, a structure that has become shorthand for luxury, and yet no two people leave it with the same memory. This is not just a building. It's a message in glass and steel that we are allowed to dream without apology. When it first opened its doors in 1999, critics scoffed. Too bold, too lavish, too much. But 2 decades later, even they return, not always to stay, but just to feel it. To stand in its presence is to be reminded that luxury, real luxury, is not excess. It's emotion, memory, detail, awe. This isn't just a review of a 7-star hotel. It's an invitation to slow down, to imagine, to remember the power of place. In the next few minutes, we won't just walk through its golden halls. We'll walk into stories, history, philosophy, and design, so precise it borders on poetry. We'll ask questions that buildings rarely raise. Can walls inspire you? Can silence be curated? Can extravagance feel healing? So wherever you are, in a quiet room, on your daily walk, or just searching for something beautiful to believe in, let your mind drift with me to Dubai's shimmering shore. Let's begin with the dream, the sail, the impossible idea made real. The story of Burj Al Arab doesn't begin with blueprints. It begins with a question whispered in the desert winds of the 1990s. What if Dubai had a symbol, a silhouette the world would never forget? Back then, Dubai was already growing, already dreaming. But what it needed was audacity, a landmark that would not just represent wealth, but vision. Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum envisioned a structure that would define Dubai in the same way the Eiffel Tower defines Paris, or the Opera House defines Sydney. So, a location was chosen. Offshore. A man-made island rising from the sea, a defiant act in itself. British architect Tom Wright was given a poetic brief. Design something unmistakable. He didn't look to castles or skyscrapers, he looked to the sea. The curved sail of a dhow, an ancient Arabian vessel, became his muse. And with that, the hotel's essence was born, not just rooted in culture, but sailing forward from it. Construction began in 1994 and lasted 5 years. More than 3,000 workers toiled day and night. The island was built with massive concrete blocks sunk into the seabed, protected by a layer of large rocks, engineered to resist the rage of the Gulf. The hotel was not just built. It was placed with reverence, as if the ocean had been asked for permission. Inside, no expense was spared. Italian statuario marble, the same used by Michelangelo, 24-karat gold leaf adorning columns, ceilings, and accents. Over 20,000 square meters of it. At times, the line between architecture and worship began to blur. And yet, what's most powerful isn't the gold or the marble. It's the intention. Every curve, every proportion is rooted in sacred geometry, designed to uplift the soul as much as impress the eye. Burj Al Arab is not just a hotel that cost $1 billion to build. It's the answer to a question only dreamers would dare ask. The experience within, where every detail speaks. To approach Burj Al Arab is to feel a sense of ceremony. You don't simply arrive, you are received. As your car glides across the private bridge connecting the mainland to its man-made island, a quiet awe begins to settle. The water sparkles below. The sun strikes the curved facade, turning it into a sail of gold. Then, the doors open. The lobby is a cathedral of light. Its atrium, the tallest in the world, soars 180 meters high, twice the height of the Statue of Liberty. Color cascades from floor to ceiling. Royal blues, bold reds, sunlit gold. Fountains dance. Columns stretch upward like marble palms. And for a moment, you forget time. You're not checking into a hotel. You're entering a living sculpture. There are no rooms at Burj Al Arab, only duplex suites. Each one is a world unto itself, spread across 2 floors, with spiral staircases, floor-to-ceiling windows, and panoramic views of the endless Gulf. The royal suite includes a rotating bed. Another suite offers a pillow menu with 17 choices. Even the iPads are encased in 24-karat gold. Yet for all its opulence, what you remember is the silence. The kind of silence that only appears when everything is cared for, when every scent, sound, and surface has been designed not to impress, but to ease you. There's a private butler on every floor, not to intrude, but to anticipate. Room service arrives not in clatter, but in choreography. A cup of tea is not just tea. It's a ceremony of warmth, porcelain, and peace. And then there are the unexpected touches. A fresh flower placed exactly where your eye would land. A note hand-penned in your native language. A scent diffused not to overwhelm, but to remind you of somewhere you once felt safe. In Burj Al Arab, even extravagance is gentle. Iconic moments when stories rise above the sea. Burj Al Arab doesn't just host guests, it creates legends. In 2005, 2 of tennis's greatest icons, Roger Federer and Andre Agassi, played a match on the rooftop Helipad, 210 meters above the sea. There was no crowd, no scoreboard, just wind and wonder. It wasn't a tournament, it was a statement. Here, we rise above competition to reach for beauty. Then came Tiger Woods, teeing off from that same helipad, his golf ball vanishing into the infinite blue. No one knows where it landed. But that was the point. At Burj Al Arab, even a shot in the dark becomes a metaphor. Years later, in the middle of a global lockdown, DJ David Guetta streamed a live concert from that very spot. The world was isolated. But for one night, millions tuned in and remembered how to dance, how to dream. In a silent sky, music poured down like hope. But not every story is broadcast. Some are quiet, personal, unforgettable. Ooh! A novelist from Florence checked in for a week and checked out with the first 3 chapters of a book that would go on to become a European bestseller. She later described the hotel not as a destination, but, quote, a cathedral of clarity. A Saudi prince once requested a suite to be converted into a recording studio overnight. By morning, it was done. He left behind a handwritten note. Where there is no limit, art appears. Even the staff carry stories. A Filipino butler who once helped a nervous guest propose, with fireworks, a private string quartet, and a path of roses shaped into a map of the world. They said yes. These aren't just events, they're echoes, proof that some places don't just shelter you, they shape you. Reimagining luxury, more than gold and grandeur. Luxury for most of us is an indulgence, a sweet upgrade, a fine meal, A perfect view, but Burj Al Arab dares to ask, what if luxury wasn't about more, but about meaning? To truly grasp the depth of its extravagance, you must first unlearn what you think opulence is. Bah! It's easy to be dazzled by the numbers. A single night in the royal suite can cost upwards of $25,000. The lobby alone contains more gold leaf than Versailles. Helicopter transfers. Available. Underwater dining and a suspended aquarium? Of course. And yet, there's something more radical at work. Burj Al Arab doesn't just compete with other hotels. It competes with memory, with legacy, with feeling. Unlike the Ritz in Paris or the Plaza in New York, its extravagance is not inherited, it's invented. It's not nostalgia, it's vision made real. It doesn't borrow from European grandeur. It writes its own grammar of luxury, rooted in the Arabian spirit, but fluent in global wonder. Some may call it excessive. But to dismiss it as mere display is to misunderstand the philosophy behind it, because here, excess becomes artistry. A staircase isn't just grand. It spirals like a golden helix, evoking the very pattern of life. A wall isn't merely adorned. It tells a story in mosaic and marble. Even light is curated, reflected, refracted, softened, until it feels like a presence in the room. Luxury here is not measured in diamonds, but in details. It's in the library that offers rare manuscripts upon request. In the rooftop terrace that's cooled in the heat of summer by a hidden breeze system. In the perfume infused into the linens, developed by French artisans exclusively for the hotel. At Burj Al Arab, luxury is an experience that lingers long after the gold has faded from your memory. But the feeling, that sense of being seen, cared for, elevated, remains. And in that way, Burj Al Arab may be the most emotionally generous hotel on earth. So the question becomes not, can you afford it? But can you imagine it? Because perhaps true luxury is not about possession. It's about presence. The healing silence. When stillness becomes sanctuary. There's a moment, sometime after midnight, when the corridors of Burj Al Arab fall into an exquisite hush. The fountains quiet. The clinking of glasses fades. Even the sea seems to hold its breath. This is not emptiness, it's intention. The silence at Burj Al Arab is not the absence of sound, but the presence of peace. It's curated just as carefully as the decor, offering a counterpoint to the sensory opulence. Because what is luxury, if not the freedom to breathe deeply? You begin to notice the slower things, the sound of your footsteps on polished marble, the whisper of curtains stirred by the sea breeze, the scent of oud wafting gently through the air, anchoring you in the moment. This is where Burj Al Arab begins to feel less like a hotel and more like a sanctuary. Here, time stretches. You read more slowly. You drink tea as if it's your first cup in years. Your conversations take on a different tone, less hurried, more thoughtful. Even solitude feels richer, more sacred. Many guests speak of sleeping more soundly than they have in decades. Some even find themselves waking before dawn, not out of anxiety but anticipation. To watch the sun rise over the Gulf through a two-story window is to feel, just for a moment, that the world is perfectly in order. Wellness here isn't offered in slogans. It's woven into space. The Aswan Spa, nestled near the top floors, offers views so expansive that your eyes seem to relax before your body does. Therapies are tailored not just to your skin, but to your story. And every treatment begins not with noise, but with stillness. The healing isn't loud. It's not forced. It arrives like the tide, slow, sure, and inevitable. In a world that glorifies speed and noise, Burj Al Arab reminds us that there is beauty in slowing down, that silence, when intentional, is not a void, but a gift. And perhaps that's the most luxurious thing of all. When grandeur meets critique, the price of perfection, no place that dares to redefine luxury escapes judgment. And Burj Al Arab has drawn its share of both awe and criticism. To some, it is a triumph of ambition. To others, a symbol of excess. For every guest who steps into its atrium in breathless wonder, there is a voice outside questioning the meaning of such opulence. Can a $25,000 per night suite ever be justified in a world where inequality is so visible? Can gold-plated iPads coexist with the principles of sustainability and mindfulness? Should luxury be this bold, this unapologetic? These aren't easy questions. And perhaps they're not meant to be. Critics point to the environmental impact of artificial islands and towering air-conditioned structures in desert climates. Some architectural purists argue that the hotel is more spectacle than substance, calling it a stage set built for Instagram rather than timeless design. Yet those critiques open a space for discussion, because Burj Al Arab doesn't pretend to be modest. It exists as a provocation, a mirror to what we value, what we desire, and what we believe luxury should be. In a way, it's the conversation that gives the hotel its cultural weight. No one debates the average five-star hotel. But this sparks dialogue. It forces us to confront our discomfort with wealth, our fascination with extravagance, and our own aspirations. And perhaps that's the most compelling role Burj Al Arab plays, not just as a destination, but as a cultural artifact, a place that can be both dream and dilemma. One could argue that its true legacy won't be written in tourism brochures, but in coffee shop conversations and quiet debates. Is this the future we want? Or is it a fantasy we need? For every person who views it as excessive, another sees it as inspiration. For every raised eyebrow, there's a widened eye. And maybe, just maybe, the value of Burj Al Arab lies not only in what it offers, but in what it makes us question. A lighthouse of identity, more than a hotel, a homeland symbol. As the sun sets over Dubai, the Burj Al Arab transforms. It's no longer just a hotel, it becomes a beacon. Lights ripple across its sail-like facade, shimmering like a lantern floating on the horizon. To many Emiratis, this place is more than architecture. It's a symbol of what their country dared to become. Before oil, before skyscrapers, there were only wind-blown sands and dhows tracing the coastline. The sail, so integral to Burj Al Arab's form, is not just design, it's memory. It calls back to the sea traders, the fishermen, the pearl divers. It anchors the present to the past. That's why, for locals, the hotel is often spoken of with pride, not as tourists do, in terms of opulence, but in terms of ambition. It is proof that a small Gulf emirate can not only join the global stage, but rewrite the script. School children study it. Artists paint it. Couples take wedding photos in its shadow. It has become inseparable from Dubai's identity, not just because of its grandeur, but because of what it represents. The idea that roots and wings can coexist. And for those who left Dubai long ago, expats, students, diaspora, the image of Burj Al Arab offers more than nostalgia. It's a postcard from home, a reminder that the desert can bloom, that visions can be built. Every city has its icon. Paris has the Eiffel Tower, New York has the Statue of Liberty. And Dubai? Dubai has a hotel that dreams. But unlike monuments that look back, the Burj Al Arab gazes forward. Its curve bends toward the future. In a world racing for the next big thing, Burj Al Arab reminds us. Sometimes, the greatest symbol of progress is the one that chooses to stand still, beautifully, for all to see. When a place becomes a feeling, luxury, memory, and the self, there are places we visit and places that visit us. Burj Al Arab is often described in numbers: 7 stars, 321 meters tall, 202 suites, 1,790 square meters of gold leaf. But numbers don't linger in the heart. What lingers is something harder to measure. Perhaps it's the quiet awe when stepping into the atrium, where light dances on the marble floor like ripples on water, or the hush that falls as you gaze from your window, the Arabian Gulf stretching endlessly beneath you like a silk sheet of silver blue. Maybe it's the way the air smells faintly of oud and citrus, or how the pillows carry the weight of hundreds of dreams. Businessmen, honeymooners, widows marking a second chapter. Luxury for many is about indulgence, but here it often becomes reflection. When time slows down and you find yourself asking questions you've kept buried beneath calendars and noise. Have I given myself enough beauty in this life? The best? Have I spent too long rushing? Is it still possible to feel wonder? In that silence, Burj Al Arab becomes a mirror, not of vanity, but of possibility. Some guests come once. Others return every year, but all carry something home, not just photos, but a sensation, like the touch of velvet on skin or the memory of wind at dusk. Something soft but unforgettable. And long after you've left, when you're back to your morning coffee, your usual chair, the hum of routine, you may find it again. That sudden stillness, that reminder, that feeling of what it means to be cared for so completely, so beautifully, it becomes part of you. Because in the end, perhaps the true definition of luxury isn't what you buy, but what you're allowed to feel. And Burj Al Arab, for all its gold and grandeur, offers something more rare, a moment to simply feel. A place that listens. What will you remember? When a place touches you, it doesn't end when the trip does. You may leave the Burj Al Arab behind, the marble, the breeze, the ocean light, but its essence follows quietly, like the memory of a meaningful conversation. It doesn't fade, it deepens. Because this isn't just a hotel you stay in. It's a place that stays with you. And maybe that's the rarest luxury of all. A space that doesn't just impress you, but listens to you. You begin to remember not just how it looked, but how you felt. Safe, humbled, worthy of stillness. As if for a moment, the world turned softly, just for you. In a time where everything moves fast, Burj Al Arab does something radical. It stands still, like a poem that refuses to be rushed, like a note held longer than expected, like a sigh you didn't know you were holding. So as we close this chapter, maybe ask yourself, what would your version of stillness look like? Where would you go to feel whole again? And what does true luxury mean to you now? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Tell us your story. Your dream place. Bansa. Or simply share what moment from this video stayed with you the longest. Basa, because the journey doesn't end here. Bansa. This is just one sail on a sea of wonder, Basa Bansa, and the next destination might speak to your heart even more. Asidia Bansa, Asidia Bansa, Dasa Bansa, Asidia Bansa, Asidia Bansa. Masa, Hasidia Bansa, we invite you to come along. Asidia Bansa, Hasidia Bansa. Asidia Bansa, Dasidia Bansa,